Thank you, Sylvia. Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. I'm just waiting. We're just waiting for the actual presentation to load. I noticed that hasn't loaded yet. And thank you for returning. So I hope it has been educational for you for the last 2 days. And I hope today you'll be able to get something out of it today. Today we're going to concentrate mostly on like document custodian transfer a little bit and PTS. And again, this might not be something you're doing yet. If you're a new issuer, most likely you haven't been doing any document custodian transfer. And of course, the PTS piece is if you're acquiring pools from another issuer, like an issuer transfer there. So, but we just want to show you that as part of the processing. That might come later in your process if that ever happens to you and your company. Again, my name is Wade Gale. I'm going to be the driver. I should say a driver who doesn't drive, but I'll try and lead you anyway. We're going to be with James Lee today, and also Maribel is going to be doing the controls. She's going to be moving the slides as we go along and help out in the chat if there's anything.
Wait, can you see the presentation now?
Yes, I can. I'm tired of seeing that smiley face with that guy in that purple sweater. Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
So am I. This is the last day he used his sweater.
3 days I wore the same sweater. That's messed up, but that's okay. I'm at home, so
okay.
let's.
So okay, everyone can,
let's see what the Let's see what the presentation is going to be like today. Next slide, please. Document custodian transfer request. This document custodian transfer actually happens in GinnieNet. So next slide. We're going to try to go through the types of document custodian transfer. We're going to just give you an overview of the document custodian transfer process, and we're going to have some quick tips, and we just have a short demo just to show you how the process is actually done. Next slide. So let's talk about document custodian transfer. All document custodian transfer are submitted via GinnieNet. There are 4 types of document custodian transfers requests. You have the complete document custodian transfer. You have the partial document custodian transfer. You have the complete document custodian merger, and you have the partial document custodian merger. And the complete and partial transfer request, recertification of the transferred pools are due 12 months of the effective date of the transfer. So if you decide to do a complete or a partial transfer request, you have to make sure you have to do the recertification 12 months of the effective date of the transfer. Then you have the complete and the partial merger. That one has to be approved by GinnieNet again through our system, and that does not require a new recertification of the affected pools. The status of the pools or the pre-merger will remain the same. One important thing about document custodian transfer, once the issuer submits the transfer, the new document custodian must certify the pending transfer request prior to the specified effective date. That's very important. So the 4 types of document custodian transfers are complete, you have the partial custodian transfer, the complete merger, and the partial merger. And everything about document custodian transfer is actually done via GinnieNet as of now. Next slide, please. Okay, this screen just shows you what happens in GinnieNet. Where do you go into GinnieNet to actually do the document custodian transfer? So we'll go through this a little bit in our demo. I think we kind of showed this a little bit in our demo. So this is just what the screen looks like. And one thing for document custodian transfer, you know, most of us, we were doing new pool processing. So if you need to do document custodian transfer, you must have the certification module. So you must have certification as a part of your GinnieNet setup, certification. That's where you'll do like your final certification, recertification, and document custodian transfer in that module certification, not in the new pool processing module. So that is something you want to just get used to if this is going to be a part of your responsibilities to do the final research document custodian transfer. You need to have that certification module. Next slide, please. Okay, so we're just going to talk a little. As I said, there's a short little demo just to show you what happens in GinnieNet. And I hope it's beautiful. It's a beautiful day wherever your home is or workplace is today. It's nice here in New York City. I live in an area called Far Rockaway, Queens. And it's very sunny and nice today. Okay, so we're going to try and go through just to show you what happens in the document custodian transfer space. We're going to log in. We're into GinnieNet. We're going to put in this session that you're seeing is the old conventional way. We don't go into GinnieNet this way before, but this is how the tape was done. We're going to go for data entry. We're going to choose certification on the common. Then we're going to look for document custodian transfer. And on the document custodian transfer, we're going to do new. Those are the four types: complete, partial, complete merger, and partial merger. We're going to click on complete because we're going to send all our portfolio over to the new custodian. We're going to put in the new custodian ID. We're going to put in a date of transfer. That's when all the pools will be going from one. We're going to fill in all the necessary information. Put in the new custodian that's going to get the document. Going to click. Going to select the custodian. Then we can import. You have the ability to import your pools, or you can actually do manual entry. Depends on the size of your portfolio that you're doing a document custodian transfer for. Click on OK. Good. We did that on purpose because we didn't put in the date of transfer. So a date of transfer has to be there. This is the old tape, so we're putting in 512. It's 512 would not have worked again. So we're going to save that. Once it's saved, we would have to go to the host communication piece of GinnieNet and do the submission. There's a transfer there. We're going to click, bring it across, click on OK, and it shows up at the. You're going to put in your RSA token information. You're going to fill in all of that stuff. Your password. Put in your password. Click on OK. And of course, this person is actually making some mistakes, so we're going to start over again. Marble, are we sure we're running the right tape?
And I'll fast forward.
Okay, that's going to give me my error message. That's going to be. We're not going to go any further than here anyway, so I just want to see what happens on this screen. Okay, I got it. So I think we have to go make this a little bit clearer. So the process is, I don't know if anybody right now is actually doing document custodian transfer. It was the right tape. It's just a very short recording. The gist of the matter is, you as the issuer will start the process. You will, of course, all of this stuff you're going to discuss with the new custodian, because part of the process to do document custodian transfer, if you agree to transfer all of your pools from one custodian to the next, that means the custodian needs to have all those documentation before they go in and approve the GinnieNet part of it. Because in GinnieNet, you're just listing the pool numbers and say, these are all the pool numbers that are going over to the new custodian. But the new custodian also need to have the documentation. They need to have all the pool information before they can go in and sign off on the transfer, because you don't want to just send a pool list and they're signing off on it, but all the documents are still with the old custodian. You want to make sure you have those things, because you want to make sure you do your due diligence and checking to make sure if it says 10 pools, I'm getting 10 documentation on those 10 pools. So there's a big part of this that's done outside of GinnieNet. The GinnieNet piece is just to tell GennieMay that these pools are going over to the new custodian, and if GennieMay goes on their system and look, all those new pools have actually done the transfer to the new custodian ID. But there's a lot of work behind the scenes, and I always encourage the issuers, do not start the document custodian transfer until you're sure when those documents are moving over to the new custodian, so you can actually set up a date of transfer. The date of transfer is very important, because if you set up a date of transfer and the custodian go in later or after that date and do the certification, when that pool information comes down to the GennieMay's system, the backend system that does the check again to make sure everything is okay, there could be a rejection there, because we're going to get a rejection saying date of transfer has passed. So you definitely have to set that up with your custodian to make sure those dates are going to be good. They're going to meet those dates, because as I had mentioned, as a new custodian, I don't want to do a document custodian transfer just by a pool list. I want to make sure I have all the documentation in my shop on that. Any questions? Oh, Andrew, I wanted to say this to you. I saw your name the other day, and I'm like, this is not Andrew Jones, the baseball player, is it? But there was a baseball player by the name of Andrew Jones who played for the Atlanta Braves some years ago. So I don't think, are you the Andrew Jones that used to play baseball, Andrew? Just put it in the chat. I wanted to ask you that from the other day when I saw your name. Oh, darn. I was hoping you were. So we were just going to ask you some baseball tips. But anyway, nice to have you, Andrew. Next slide, please. Yes, just some more quick tips that I'd gone over. For complete document custodian transfer or merger, the issuer is required to submit a complete pool list. For partial document custodian transfer or merger, the issuer is required to submit a complete list of the pools being transferred, as well as the pool lists for existing document custodian. So if you're doing a partial means you're not sending all your pools to the new custodian. So if you're sending 10 pools, you had a portfolio of 25. You're sending 10 pools to custodian 1, 2, 3, 4, and so therefore the other 10 pools are left with the existing custodian. So GennieMay wants to see that when you're doing the process. So you're going to say, these are the 10 pools that are going to custodian 0, 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, and these are the 10 that are staying with my existing custodian. So all of that story has to be told as part of the process. If a pool is transferred with a final certification pending, when the new custodian completes the pending certification, that certification will be closed out, both open final certs and pending recertification from the previous transfer. So if you have a pending final certs, once you do a transfer, both both of those pieces will be closed out. The final certification and the recertification will be closed out as part of that process. An e-notification of approval or rejection is sent to the issuer and new document custodian. So that's, again, although we send these e-notes, I always tell my issuers and custodians sometime, nothing beats you getting in touch with that person and said, hey, a document custodian transfer was done. Did you get all the documents? I put a date of such and such for it to be transferred. Is that going to make it for you? They might say, no, we haven't reviewed the documents. So there's a possibility you as an issuer might have to go in and make a change of the date of transfer, because if that date has passed, then you're going to have problems when it comes on the network, on the mainframe. It's going to be rejected by GinnieNet. The pool listing may be imported or key entered directly into GinnieNet. And I always say, if you have a small amount, 10 pools, and you don't want to build an import file, it's up to you. But you can build an import file and actually do the import. But if your volume is larger, it's best to build an import file according to the specs and import those pools into GinnieNet. And again, don't forget, you can get information on document custodian transfer on the GinnieNet single family training guide. That I think that information starts on page 89 in our user manual on document custodian transfer. Next slide, please. Any questions on document custodian transfer? Right now in your world, then one can just put in the chat. Is anyone doing document custodian transfer, or is it too early for you if you're new issuers? Anyone can answer. Okay, moving on. Pool transfer system. Again, this is another system that's used if users, issuers are transferring their portfolio from one issuer to another issuer. So we're just going to go through a couple of slides just to give that to you. And again, pool transfer system might not be something you have as part of your functional role in the MyGenMate space, but it might be something you'll be doing a little bit later as time goes on. Next slide, please. We're going to look at the types of pool transfer. We're just going to give an overview of the transfer process on PTS, the pool transfer system. Next slide. Okay, these are the types of pool transfer. You have the standard pool transfer. The selling issuer transfer pools to another issuer by mutual agreement. Then you have the related pool party. Oh, wow. Summertime pool party. That's very good. That came up right at the right time. Related pool party. It's the selling issuer transfer pools to another issuer by mutual agreement. Issuers are related. And then you have the merger. The selling issuer transfer all pools to a related issuer due to internal reasons. In a business merger, the merging issuer initiate the process. So those are the three. You have the standard pool, you have the related pool party, and you have the merger. And again, we're not just going to give you this information and don't give you the documentation to go along with it if this is ever going to be a part of your process. Pool transfer system for issuers. You want to look at the transfer overview from page 2 just to give you some of the information on pool transfer itself. Next slide. And just to give it some more information on the process on the PTS system. Earlier we said PTS because that's what if you're with GinnieNet, you know there's a lot of acronym that people have to get used to. PTS provide an automated means for the issuer to do the following: initiate and update pool transfer request information, import and update pool number being transferred, view and receive the associated approval documentation, approve or reject, approve import and update pool numbers being transferred, view and receive the associated approval documentation, approve or reject pool transfer requests from the selling issuer, access and view reports. You have to also, you can confirm associated transfer fees. So all that stuff is done within this, is in the system. And I can tell you, if this becomes a part of your process, if you have to do this later down in your company, you're acquiring some pool, and this is much easier than what used to happen maybe 6 or 10 years ago. Yeah, almost 10 years ago, when everything was in a manual form. So this is all automated, so everything is done through the system. Thank GinnieNet that they have evolved and come to this part. Next slide, please. And what this, of course, to access PTS, you have to go through MGM. Again, all these systems are housed in MGM. MGM as the main thing to get into, with your user ID, your email address, and of course that password that you create. When you get into the system, you go to tools, and on the tools you have on the IPMS, that's where you'll find all those systems. You'll have the PTS system there. Of course, earlier in the week we talk about MAMS, we talk about RPN for request pool number, we talk about CM for your commitment authority. So that's where you'll find the PTS system. And then once you go to PTS system and you click on that, it brings up the application. You go to this area that says select transfer, and that's when the process will start. Next slide, please. And just some more information on what you can find on some of these quick reference cards that we have on the PTS system. It provides the request pool number screen. You have the request new transfer, the access submission center. Of course, you have to use your RSA token to do this. That's why you have a submission center. You have to you can view stats, accept pool transfer, and you can actually run report. So you want to see how everything goes, and that you can find on the quick reference card. And again, we try to make those brief bulletin messages for the users. It's much easier sometimes people to go through those quick reference than actually to read the entire manual if this is something you might be thrown into quickly at work. So you have the quick reference. And of course, you always have us. We have some dedicated people in our office. One of the main persons, Margaret Williamson, who is a subject matter expert on PTS. And if something happens, she can most likely come up with reasoning why this happened, and she can actually walk you through the process. So Margaret Williamson is one of our good workers who help us with the PTS processing. Next slide, please. Get out. We just started. Oh, Sylvia, I did tell you that this session was going to be short. I should have told this session was very short. So, is there any questions or concerns? Stuff that we did today or stuff that we did on Monday, on Wednesday, anything? Anybody want to talk about anything that I said that went over your head, you weren't too clear on?
And also, we do have John Kozak, an account executive with GinnieNet, who may want to weigh in with some information here, or is available to answer any questions that our audience may have.
Thanks,
Sylvia.
I love having John on. I love having John on. John, do you have anything to add to it, either document custodian transfer or PTS?
Yeah. I would just like to suggest that, before you do a transfer, make sure you take a careful look at Chapter 21 of the MBS guide. That kind of elucidates the instructions for doing a transfer. Wade has done an excellent job of going through the mechanics of GinnieNet, and certainly those quick reference cards are helpful. Please make sure you notify us in transfers 90 days ahead of the effective date of the transfer. I know that seems like a long time, but really it isn't in terms of Ginnie Mae doing its due diligence for approval on these transfers. We need to get you the approval letter on these probably before your RESPA letter date. RESPA letters go out to the borrowers. So we have a very short window, and there's a lot of review. There's a lot of concurrences internally that have to go on. Sometimes there's confusion among the issuers about the effective date of the transfer. The effective date in Ginnie Mae's eyes are when the systems, the first month that the systems recognize the buyer now as the issuer of record for the pools that transfer. Okay, so the buyer then on the effective date is going to have to be doing the reporting on the pools being transferred. They are now recognized by Ginnie Mae's systems as the new issuer of record for the pools transferred. I think that's all I have.
Okay, really appreciate it, John, for your expertise. Always welcome on anything that I work on with Ginnie Mae. So I really appreciate your effort. Thank you.
Thanks, Wade.
You're welcome. So let's start from the beginning then. Let's just go back to Monday. When we kind of introduced My Ginnie Mae to you, that's the vehicle that gets you in the door to actually start working with GinnieNet. Everybody has to be set up with My Ginnie Mae. As to if we have, first of all, we set up org admins in your shop. We do org admins so they can actually set up the end users, and then the end users give the org admin give the end users the functional roles. Once those roles are set up and approved by the second org admin and approved by us at verify and validate by us here at BNYML, and you should be able to have all those roles and go into the system and do your processing. And of course, we're going through MGM now because it's now a single sign-on system. You only use one user ID, one password to get into the system. So once you are allowed into the system in MGM, you have the ability to choose if you're going to do RFS, if you're going to do GinnieNet, if you're going to do the MAMs. You don't need another password. And that I know users are loving, because if you are using GinnieNet and all the other systems, you had so many other passwords and user ID to use. Plus, not only Ginnie Mae system, if you're doing other agency work, those have their passwords. So, and plus your work and your system that you have to use in your office. So that you have to go in and do that. So with this single sign-on, I think it works for the users. It can make them more efficient. And of course, you don't have to write on 50 million passwords to remember. So once you get into those systems, you go in, and if you have access to go in and do your work, we have the user manuals, we have the QRCs to help you go through. And of course, don't forget, you always can call us at the 800 number to help you if you get stuck in any way. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it's 5 of us now on the hotline. We are there between 8:30 a.m. until 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, trying to help as much as we can with any questions or concerns. And so you use that. We went through how to do your MAMs, and just want to remind you, your renewal for MAMs start October 1. It usually ends December 31st of this year. So if you're going to renew your MAMs, if you're telling Ginnie Mae the same accounts that I'm using for 2021 are the same accounts I'll be using for 2022, there are going to be no changes. Don't wait until December 31st to do it. Try and do it as early as possible, so it will work best for you. So that's off your head. You don't have to worry about your MAMs or your master agreement renewals. Your commitment, make sure you have enough commitment if you're going to issue pools. You don't want to issue 10 pools, and 10 pools, those came up to like, I'm just going to use $50 million. But when you checked your balance that morning, you have $35 million. So you know what's going to happen. Those pools are going to be submitted, but when they go through the back end to do the check, they're going to be rejected because it's going to come out as saying insufficient funds. You have to end up calling. We're going to send something to your account executive telling them of this issue. And they most likely will have to get in touch with you. You will have to do the arrangement to get what you need to do to get those funds in so you actually can issue those pools. And the reason I'm mentioning this could also affect you in terms of how you set up your delivery. You might have told this investor that you're going to get your pools today because you weren't aware of the insufficient funds on some of your pools. So you just want to plan. I think every day a commitment authority amount comes into e-notification. And I think now with the new system on my GinnieNet, there's a dashboard also that shows the up-to-date commitment authority. You want to know those things. So if you're going to plan and issue your pools, pool number, the same thing. Make sure you have enough pool numbers to issue your pools. You don't want to have 10 and then you're going to do, okay, I finished at 10. Let me do pool 11. That pool 11 could have been assigned to another issuer. So you're going to run into another problem there. Again, if that pool is submitted, it's going to check that at GinnieNet's backend. We're going to give you a call and say pool number 1, 2, 3, 4 was already used. So that could be a delay too, because we have to delete the pool. You have to set up the pool with a new pool number, apply the edits again, have your custodian recertify that and that pool have to come back to us. And again, that could prevent you from issuing your pools on time. So those are some of the things I just want to remind you of. And of course, when you set up your pool, read the MBS guide. It's very important. If you're going to do your X pools, if you're going to do your M pools, if you're going to do your custom pools, make sure you know how the process works and what make up a X pool, a C pool, a M pool. And again, if you're not clear on anything in terms of policy, GinnieNet policy, don't hesitate to reach out to your account executive. That's what they're for. They'll try and guide you and help you with GinnieNet's policy. But if it's a processing issue, how to move, how to navigate, how to clear this error in GinnieNet, don't hesitate to reach on our side so to help you with that so you can move forward. You want to apply your edits. Make sure you have your token. Very important, the authorized signers. Make sure you have your token. Make sure your token works for when you're getting ready to do your transmission. Make sure you know that 4-digit PIN. Make sure you put in the correct 6-digit pass code as part of the process. All those little things. It seemed like a lot, but you just have, once you get used to it and you get in the game and you start doing this on a regular basis, it just comes like old hand, just like how we get up in the morning and move around. It just comes like another part of you. But it's new. You have to get used to it. And of course, don't forget to use any of the resources that we provide. And there's quite a many that we have out there. And also you can visit GinnieNet website on the modernization, and there's tons more there that you can use to help you with your daily processing. Is there any questions or any concerns? Anything anybody want me to go over? Anything anybody want to share with us? Any work experience? Anything you just want to share? Or everybody's just looking to start their holiday weekend? So we have up resources, and Maribel, if you go to the next slide. And again, these are some of the resources: the manual, the QRC, FAQ for your pool transfer system, the GinnieNet file layout for your import. We have the single family guide, and we have the pool transfer system for issuer. So those are some more resources that you can put on your list as part of the processing. Okay, on my end, I really appreciate everybody's time and effort. I know you have to plan to do this, and I hope the session.
Wade, before you close
yes.
out, and Tadish has a question. Is there a way to test I can't really see the full question.
Yes, I see. Okay, is there a way to test the flat file import of 11.705 and 11.06 before issuing? And yes, there is. And what we usually suggest, once you have that import file ready, don't use a regular pool number. Don't use one of your pool numbers. Make up a pool number and the same system that you're doing. We rather you test it in your production system instead of giving you a UAT or a testing site. So, but just don't use any of your pool numbers that you're going to submit the real pool in, and import the data. Once you import the data, make sure that it's coming structurally correct. Just check all the screens. Check the 11.705. Check the 11.706, check your subscriber information, your certification agreement, go through the listing on the date, apply the GenMay edits, and see what comes up in the edit, and try to see if you can clear those edits. That's how you want to do it. But you can actually import the data in your in your current system and do that. But just try use a different pool number. And when you finish all your testing, just not to be confused, just go in and delete that pool from your system. Yes, you do that right in GinnieNet production. If you still need any help on that, don't hesitate to call one of my team members so we can actually walk you through that. If you want us to take a look at the import file layout that you set up, because there are two ways. You can set up import file with the entire pool, or you can set up the import file with the mortgages alone. It depends on who is doing that for you. If it's just the mortgage alone, you have to have the pool header set up in GinnieNet so the mortgage can connect. If you're doing the entire pool, then you just import that, and then you go through doing the processing of checking your edits and make sure everything looks good. And another thing, when you do that, make sure you print. Make sure you print your reports, 11.705. Make sure everything looks good. Print 11.706. Make sure all the data elements are filled in as part of the process. Okay? I hope that answered your question, Ann. Any other question? I'm going to pass it over to Sylvia in a minute, but I just want to say thank you, everyone, for your participation. We really appreciate this. This is our first time doing this virtual training with GinnieNet. We are always out there somewhere in one of those major cities doing the training in person. So this is kind of different for me instead of actually meeting you in person. So, but I hope you are able to get the information that you need. And of course, I always say, if you do need our help, don't hesitate to. I'm gonna put my email address again in the chat. And I'm also gonna put our group email address. And of course, you have that 800 number. You can call us and ask us anything, and we should be able to help you on those. Well, for me, I want again thank you. And I hope this was educational. I hope you were able to learn some things. And I'm gonna pass it over to Sylvia. Sylvia, it's all yours.